Hart and Mark, there's no possible way for me to tell you how much you will be missed or how we feel about you. You are both exceptional teachers who have created a unique learning environment for your students. You have great passion for life and learning, and you have set an example for all of us. In your combined 75 years, you have touched the lives of approximately 5,000 students, and many of those students have pursued careers in science or computers because of your influence. We thank you.
What I particularly remember about him is what a nice person he was, and when I wasn't performing up to his expectations or what he thought my potential was, he would cock his eyebrows and he would look at you and he would say, "Brandon, you can do much better." And then he would ask me to come in and see him for extra help, and then if I didn't show up, he would cock his eyebrows again and say, "You didn't show up." And I just remember Mr. Crum as a person who really wanted me to do well.
He so successfully took a subject that is really quite challenging and requires a lot of work, and he brought it down to earth for all of us.
My first memory of Mr. Crum, I was a freshman taking biology, wasn't doing great, it was only my second year at Barstow, but the progression was to take chemistry. In those days, I really wanted to take chemistry my sophomore year, and I remember being intimidated, going to see Mr. Crum and talking it over with him, telling him I really wanted to take chemistry. And we had a discussion, and he said that it would be okay, but it was going to take a lot of hard work and preparation on my part. And to this day, it is the only class that over the summer, before I took chemistry, I got the textbook early, I read the first 8 chapters before school started, took notes in a notebook, which is something I had never done before for a class, and it was a great early lesson in high school of how hard work can pay off if you put the work in on the front end.
I will miss your walk through about 2:30 in the afternoon to ask me to go for a cup of coffee.
And I remember when I went to KU, taking that very first chemistry class my freshman year, it was just very doable for me, and most of my friends struggled with it tremendously, and I found myself helping them.
I've never met anybody who can relate to students and work with students more effectively.
Mr. Crum was the first person I met 23 years ago at Barstow. He hired me. Art's been, or was, and is a mentor to me. He's been like one of my best friends here at the school, a second father to me, and that's, I think, what makes him special to so many people, is he's like a father figure or grandfather to so many people here at the school.
I went and was an exchange student in Germany, and I was nervous at the time because I had never taken a German class. I really knew next to no German. And so voluntarily, my senior year in the spring, Mr. Crum would have me come to his classroom after school and also any other students who were interested, because I remember there were a couple other students who, like me, were interested in learning some German. And he actually taught us some basic German phrases.
I have few regrets during my time at Barstow, but I can say that one of my greatest is not taking AP Chemistry and not experiencing some of further having another class with the great Art Crum. Mr. Crum, thank you for not only making me a better student, but making me a better person.
Why is Mr. Crum fundamentally a better chemistry teacher than anyone I know? He met Linus Pauling.
He never hesitated to take his time and to work with students to make sure they understood the concepts. And that still goes on to this day. And to me, that was incredibly inspirational.
I cannot believe that the large amount of time I spent in your class, and not once did I see a look of you being tired of me coming in, you being exacerbated by the constant attention you needed to show me, and just showing me example after example. It's amazing to me that not once did I pick up any feeling of being frustrated with me throughout my long learning process in chemistry. So I undoubtedly have the Fox family record for hours spent in your classroom.
To you especially, I will say that on those cold mornings that my southern blood just does not like, when I am walking up that path and that wind is blowing through me, I will think about you being warm in your bed and not having to experience the horrid, cold Kansas wind.
I know all this time spent in chemistry honors and KMAP the last 2 years has really influenced me to take maybe pursue chemistry or chemical engineering in college, maybe as a career choice. But even if that isn't the case, even if I choose something else, the effect that you've had on me as a person is just incredible. So thank you, Mr. Crum.
The Science Knowledge Bowl team, we are going to miss you tremendously. It was wonderful going to nationals 2 years in a row. We are going to work our best to keep up the wonderful tradition that you established here.
Mr. Crum is not only a great educator, as many other people have mentioned, but I've had the distinct pleasure of working with him on the Honor Council for 2 straight years while I've been president. And I can clearly say that Mr. Crum's willingness to offer the council advice but not say this is what we should do has sparked many conversations.
I appreciate having had the opportunity to be your student and many years later to be your colleague. So thank you so much.
Well, what makes Mr. Crum such a good teacher is the fact that he can relate well to his students. Mr. Crum, when you make Frank Sinatra references, and how you get Frank Sinatra to relate to chemistry, I don't know, but when you do, I get it, and I respect you.
I met Mr. Abbs when I first got here, 1986. He had more hair then, but we struck up a relationship pretty quick because of our common interest in math and physics.
Mark Adams has been a great colleague. He's kept me on my toes. I always knew that I might be have to have a good answer ready when he said, "Here, let me make sure I understand what you're saying." I've enjoyed nights playing poker at his house, being in the fantasy football league with him and the shenanigans that we caused. Have a great retirement, Mark.
There are very few people, once you gain appreciation for math or physics or something, you find that there are very few people that you can actually talk to about these things other than your students. And they're kind of a captive audience. I mean, they're polite, but they have to be there. But Mr. Abbs and I often get together and voluntarily and with enthusiasm discuss these things.
Mr. Adams, I think the thing I will miss the most is walking into Mr. Frank's room where the two of you are working on a problem that is completely foreign to me and just enjoying the process together and the way you've always accepted me in and made me feel welcome.
Over time, we've come to become real good friends. I mean, he's my best friend. I'm going to miss him a lot.
I was fairly successful as a student here at Barstow. I was by no means, at the top of my class, but studied hard, worked hard, and got into Mr. Adams' physics class for about the first 2 or 3 weeks. Thought everything was going great, thought I was retaining the information. Took the test, got 45% on his first test. Wake up call.
And puts a smile on my face just to think about all the times that we have spent over the years. we went to France together, and being the curious sort that he and I both are, we were not the most popular people on the tours because we would ask way too many questions and slow the tour to a grinding halt. But we had a great time in France. It was a wonderful experience. It's my first time overseas, and I'm glad I got to spend it with Ms. Hopkins and Mr. Adams, my two favorite people on the planet, other than my children, and of course all the students of Barstow.
The lessons that you taught me academically, socially, about how to live your life and how to be a good citizen and be a good student are still following me today.
Mr. Adams, I hope you had a great year teaching here at Barstow. Last AP Physics class, I know I and everyone else involved in her class had a bunch of fun. Especially I'd like to thank you for always keeping us entertained in class. Even when we weren't getting the information, you were always in there trying to help us, trying to have a fun time with it as well. So I'll thank you. I'd love to thank you for the last 2 years, especially this year in AP Physics, because even though this is one of the hardest classes I've taken, maybe the hardest class at Barstow I've ever taken, it was definitely one of the best.
The past 2 years in honors physics and then AP have pretty much molded who I am now. You know, going into mechanical engineering is pretty much all from Mr. Adams. I didn't really start to love science until honors physics, and now that's kind of who I am. I owe most of what I plan on doing with my life to Mr. Adams, both the content of what he teaches and how he teaches it.
I hope that you have a promising baseball, you've already had a promising baseball career as a coach and player. I have no doubt you'll dominate the senior baseball leagues.
Mr. Adams, I want to say thank you for everything you've done. You've made me who I am, and hopefully one day I can get you that LED 3D projector.
I just hope that people here at Barstow and in general have such a person in their lives that they can go to and talk about what really concerns them and excites them and saddens them. I hope everybody eventually has a friend, as I have in Mr. Adams.
A poem for Mark and Art by John O'Donohue. This is where your life has arrived. After all the years of effort and toil, look back with graciousness and thanks on all your great and quiet achievements. You stand on the shore of new invitation to open your life to what is left undone. Let your heart enjoy a different rhythm when drawn to the wonders of other horizons. Have the courage for a new approach to time. Allow it to slow until you find freedom to draw alongside the mystery you hold and befriend your own beauty of soul. Now is the time to enjoy your heart's desire, to live the dreams you've waited for, to awaken the depths beyond your work and enter into your infinite source. Art and Mark, I thank you both from the bottom of my heart for being such dear colleagues and friends. You two are the best, and we will miss you.